Hi, this is Chandler with a little explanatory. Oh, what? What? Let's do that again. Making up words now. Hi, this is Phil Chandler with an explanatory video for the new deep floor, and this is an idea I had maybe a year or so ago, and this is the current implementation of the idea. So what we've got is a standard 4-foot top bar hive here, and on top, which of course is actually underneath, this is upside down at the moment, on top from your angle is an extended side. So this is an extra 4 inches or 100 millimeters added to the depth of the hive, but not in a permanent way. This is a removable section. Now if I can turn it towards you, you can see that the floor, the very bottom of this is covered with standard 1/4 inch galvanized mesh, which is not bee proof. This is not the mesh you would use for a varroa floor or to stop bees getting through it. Bees can actually get through this mesh, but we're going to stop them because we're going to fill this extended floor full of wood shavings and sawdust. So first of all, I'd like to show you how it's fitted. Now there are many ways to attach this floor. This is a very quick and simple method using spring clips, and there's a spring clip each end, and by a simple flick of the clip we can lift the whole thing off. So there it is. It's like a long feeding trough for a pig or a sheep or something, and it's really a retrofit. You can put this onto any hive that you've already built simply by removing the existing varroa screen floor, which would normally be at this level, and adding this section on. And you can see how it's made. It's just simple 4x1 timber, or 100 by 25 for those of you who are metricated, with simple ends screwed on to keep it into shape, and a mesh underneath. So now you're going to be asking yourselves, well, why do we need something like that? Well, you may not. It's entirely up to you whether you use this type of floor or the normal mesh varroa floor, but the advantage of using this floor is, at least I believe it to be, the fact that what we're trying to do here is to make the hive a little bit more like a hollow log, a bit more like a real hollow log would be in nature. And I'm sure those of you, if you've looked inside a hollow log, you'll notice that it's quite damp. There's lots of debris in there. There's all sorts of little creatures living inside it, and so my thinking is that if we can create a bit of an ecosystem in this lower part of the hive, we can encourage things like earwigs and wood lice and lots of other little creatures, which will create perhaps a more realistic rendition of a space that bees are used to living in. And I also believe that things like earwigs, because they are omnivorous, they eat pretty much anything, I'm pretty sure earwigs are going to eat varroa mites that fall down to the floor, and they'll get rid of them for us. Now, most of you who've kept bees will know that earwigs and bees often cohabit anyway. You'll often find earwigs in beehives, and they never seem to do any damage. The bees seem to tolerate them. I've never seen bees, trying to evict earwigs. So I think that earwigs and bees are actually quite happy companions, and it may be that the earwigs even do something that the bees benefit from. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe something that drops from the bees' workings benefits the earwigs. It gives them something to eat. It certainly gives them a nice space to live in. So the thinking is to create a mini ecosystem in the bottom of the hive for the purposes I've just spoken about, but also because when the hive is in use and the bees are in here and they've lined the hive with propolis and they've turned it into an effective condenser of water vapour, that water vapour is going to condense on the sides and run down, and some of it is going to stay retained by this bed of material in the bottom and keeping it just a little bit damp. And we've got mesh at the bottom so that any excess water can run straight out and drain away. But because this area here will remain just damp, we hope, that will help the bees maintain a humid atmosphere inside the hive, which is what they like. Inside of a hollow tree is a naturally humid atmosphere, of course, and that's what we're trying to imitate and build on inside this hive. So that's the thinking of the deep floor, and it's very easy to build. It's a very easy retrofit. I've used those spring clips to retain it at the ends, but of course there are many other ways of doing it. You can use wire clips along the length of the sides, or you could use bolts on this section here going into the wood of the bottom. You could even extend this piece of wood to the sides, and because the legs of the hive will go across it, you could even put a screw or something through there to hold it in place. I think it's a good idea for it to be removable, however, because it is to some extent sacrificial in that eventually that will rot. The actual structure of the wood will rot, because that's what a hollow tree does. And so if we essentially allow this section to be in effect disposable, I'm guessing this is going to last a good 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 years before it becomes unusable. But if we reckon that eventually that piece will need to be replaced, it will save us having to replace the whole of the side, because if this was a solid extension to the side, obviously if the bottom of it rotted, we'd have to take the whole thing out and replace it. This is just to make it easier. Also, every now and again you might want to change the filling, the actual wood chip and sawdust filling in here, which makes, obviously, being able to take the thing off, it makes it a lot easier to refill it than if you've got to do it from the inside of the hive when it's full of bees. Now, some people may be thinking, well, what about the follower boards? Because obviously now you've got a deep hole here. Now the follower boards only come down to here. Well, of course, the answer to that is that the surface of the filling material will now form the floor of the hive, and so the follower boards, without any modification at all, will simply sit on the filling material in the bottom. And if you find yourself having a little gap, it's easy matter just to scrape a bit of the filling material underneath the follower board to stop the bees getting through. So I think this will add to the versatility of this type of hive, and it will also give you some more protection than previously against animals like badgers and skunks, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're in. Either of those creatures can be a nuisance. I've had hives destroyed by badgers, but we're using this 1/4 inch mesh here and making the gap at the bottom considerably narrower, and also having the filling material above it. I think that's going to actively discourage other creatures from getting in there and trying to hook the comb out of the hive. So there we are, that's the deep floor. I shall be very interested to see how other people make this kind of thing, and how you fit it, and any other modifications you might do to it. But that's it for now. Thank you.